Hello, and welcome to Rethinking Our History, where we seek to shed a light on events that have been forgotten and covered up, and to make us all question how much do we really know about our history? I'm Felicia.
And I'm Ian, and we are here to reveal all the sordid details of history that have been swept under the rug. Get ready to get angry, be curious, and maybe have a laugh or two as we rethink our history.
Hello, friends.
Hey guys.
Thanks for joining us for another lesson, number 49. This week, we have a bit of a shorter episode for you, which, we do that anyway sometimes, but this one's just because there's not a ton of information. Um, you could kind of go online if you want to and look up more of this, but it's a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again. So, um, yeah, it is time for another missing persons case, and I wanted to highlight another Indigenous case for Native American Heritage Month. But I specifically wanted to cover the case of a missing man, as I wrongly thought that Blue Jean Jacket Day was in November. It is actually June 6th, and much like Red Dress Day for the MMIW crisis, Blue Jean Jacket Day aims to shed light on Indigenous men and boys who are missing or have been murdered.
Mm.
Because sadly, this epidemic touches all corners of the Indigenous community here and even on the other side of the world. While looking for a case of a missing Native man, I ran across an article about missing Aboriginal men in Australia. This article I came across told the stories of men who went missing just weeks and miles apart, and how this missing, murdered, and Indigenous person problem is not just restricted to the Americas.
Right.
So, first, let's take a quick look at a history of the Indigenous people or Aboriginals of Australia. And I know for a fact that we do have a few listeners, one from Ballarat. I don't know how to say that.
Ballaroo?
It's Ballart. Ballart. And Victoria. Those are the two that I know that we have listeners in. So if you guys know what the Indigenous people of Australia prefer to be called, shoot us an email, comment on Instagram, like on Spotify. Let me know, because I prefer to just call people what they prefer to be called.
Right.
It's not that hard to be respectful.
For sure.
Okay. I used to call one of Ian's best friends Tater Cakes because his last name is Tate. And you know what? He hates being called fucking Tater Cakes. So I stopped.
Yeah.
That easy, folks.
Right.
Just like with the Americas, there were people on the island of Australia for millennia before Europeans touched their dirty little feet on the land. The source I used for this history is aboriginalheritage.org, and they mainly talk about the Sydney region and the natives that lived there. These communities lived on and around the harbor, where they would fish and hunt and harvested food from the surrounding areas. They traded with other villages and were so in tune with the land they only worked a few hours a day and spent the rest of the time in leisure. Can you imagine only having a 4-hour workday?
Hell yeah.
And it's literally just you like harvesting food, maybe slaughtering some animals, patching up your hut, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Insane. In 1770, that asshole James Cook, quote unquote, found the land, and although it was already populated, claimed the land for King George III of Britain. The first fleet followed in 1788, and with it came violence and disease. In less than 1 year, over half of the native population in the Sydney Basin had died of smallpox.
Jesus.
This did not bother the colonizers at all. They considered the indigenous people of the land to be no more than animals, similar to the kangaroo and dingoes of the area. They took great pleasure in hunting large groups of natives and shooting as many as they could. But it did not take long for the natives to start to fight back. Over time, they began to integrate with the Europeans, taking on their clothing, eating their food, and unfortunately, using their alcohol to deal with their trauma.
Mm.
And that general way of thinking of the Aboriginal people has not went away. If anything, it has grown worse over the years and leads us to today. Oh, I skipped way the fuck ahead. With Indigenous men disappearing and the law enforcement not doing enough to investigate. 29-year-old Wesley Lockyer, and if you want to look up this guy, it's Lockyer. He's a hoss. He's quite handsome, but he's a hoss. Wesley, yeah. Was last seen one afternoon in October of 2002. He left his home in the small community of Jinparinya, 20 kilometers or about 12 miles north of Port Hedland in the Pilbara region of Western Australia. Wesley was a proud member of his Indigenous community and a park ranger, which made the fact that he left behind his phone and wallet extremely concerning for those who knew him.
Yeah, that's weird.
Just 1 week later, his cousin, 30-year-old Clinton Lockyer, went missing over 200 kilometers away. Less than a month later, Wiley Oscar's car was found abandoned in the bush. Then in April of 2024, Clinton's cousin Zane Stephen went missing while out on a drive with friends. Sadly, these disappearances were not new for the Lockyer family. In 1988, Veronica Lockyer and her 7-month-old daughter Adele also went missing.
Hmm.
So Clinton was last seen on October 31st, 2022. He was shown on CCTV footage outside of an Aboriginal medical services where he collected medicine he had been taking for his mental health. He is known to have later met with a friend at a house and even had a phone call with his mother, in which she said he sounded fine. But then a few hours later, Clinton came and knocked on her door, but disappeared before she was able to answer. Since then, his bank accounts have not been accessed, as there has been no activity on his phone and no calls or messages from his family, or no calls or messages from him to his family. In Australia, just like in the US, in Canada, and any other colonized country, these people are not seen as important enough to really investigate their disappearances. But there is a double whammy for these people as they're Indigenous and Black. They're like Black Indigenous people.
Right.
I don't know. It's a weird dichotomy to be Afro-Indigenous, which is like what these people are. They're Afro-Indigenous to Australia.
Right.
Indigenous people get a lot of shit. Black people get a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being both.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn. In a country that is founded as a penal colony.
Right.
Just like America.
For Britain.
Just like America.
Yeah.
It's really fucked up. They'll say that, they must just be off on a walkabout.
Right.
Motherfuckers, they're not on a walkabout, okay?
Nope.
If you don't know what a walkabout is, one, go fucking watch Crocodile Dundee. Like, where the fuck have you been at? But also, like, when people do walkabouts, people typically know that they're going on a walkabout.
Yeah.
This is something that I don't know how often
it's like a camping trip. You let people know before you go.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know how common walkabouts are still within the Aboriginal community. But, like, yeah, it's not like you just wander off. Like, you tell people, I'm going on a walkabout. I'm going in this direction. I should be back by this time.
Right.
I'm guessing you take supplies and stuff with you, maybe.
Right. At least that's what people should do.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Zane Stevens was only 21 when he was traveling with a friend in April of 2024 when the two got separated near Broome. I think it's Broome. It's Broome. I'm going to say Broome because I'm American. Sure. I'm sorry. The friend returned back to town, but Zane would never be seen again. His car was found stuck in the mud near Coconut Well, and over extensive searches, one article of his clothing was found. Mm. And he is not likely to run away because he has a baby.
Right.
Like, I think the kid's maybe 3 or 4 at this point.
Poor kid.
Going way back a bit to Veronica. Veronica Philomena Lockyer was 33 when her and her baby Adele went missing. Her and the father of her children had moved around several towns, including Marble Bar, Port Hedland, and 3 Mile Aboriginal Community, which is really crazy. They had these communities, like one's 3 Mile, and they lived in another one called 12 Mile Aboriginal Community.
Mm-hmm.
That's some white people bullshit right there. These people they can name their own fucking places.
Right.
God damn. In 1996, Veronica was admitted to the hospital due to physical abuse, and in retaliation, Craig, the father of her kids, was attacked and beaten by members of her family. It's like, good on him. The last time she was seen was October 25th, 1989, at the South Hedland CenturyLink office. However, there is record of Adele getting a shot on November 24th at the Meridian Community Health Center, though it is not known who took her. Her baby daddy, Craig, claims that the last time he saw Veronica was after they got into an argument while driving to Perth, and he dropped her and the baby off at the parking lot of a shopping center in Midland. Sorry. He claims that he took their other baby, Donna Marie, with him to get petrol, and that was it. That was the last time he saw him. He also claims that Veronica claimed she would be going to a women's shelter in Adele. These are just a few of the people who have went missing from this area and across the greater Western Australia as a whole. What makes it even more heartbreaking for the families is the indifference of law enforcement in actually investigating these disappearances. There was a woman, a German hitchhiker, and I think that happened in the last 5 years. She went missing out in the bush. And it was like when Gabby Petito went missing.
Mm-hmm.
The media coverage was overwhelming.
Right.
But like Wesley, Zane, and Clinton, there's barely a blurb about it. There's no movement from law enforcement because these indigenous black men just aren't important. They're probably drug addicts and alcoholics.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, gee, I wonder fucking why. Wesley's family took it upon themselves to hire private investigators, one being Mick Buckley. Hey, Mick. Jesus, I'm sorry, y'all.
Good day, Mick.
Our Australia listeners, turn this the fuck off. Mick is a well-known and successful PI who has solved many missing person cases as well as murders, but he reported that law enforcement was unwilling to work with him or share any of their records.
Damn.
The family has organized search parties, conducted interviews, and Wesley's mother even goes out and digs at potential body dump sites.
That's horrible.
Because law enforcement refuses to do the bare minimum for these missing people.
I couldn't imagine being that mom.
This, as my parent, is my worst fear.
Right.
The not knowing.
Yeah.
What happens to my child if she goes missing. Like, it's one thing if your child is murdered. You have somebody that you can blame. You have somebody that you have like justice you can go after. You know what I mean?
Sure.
If your child just dies of a disease or something, you know?
Yeah.
But for them to just be there one day and then to be gone next, and you never know what happened.
It's got to be horrible.
I can't remember what I called it. It's called
maddening at the same time.
There's a term of a type of grief that it is, because you're stuck in a limbo.
Yeah.
Of not knowing. Are they dead? Are they not dead? What happened to them? Where's their body? Like.
Right.
And as a parent, I can't. I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think about it. I made the mistake of listening to an episode of a podcast one time when Patty was about 2. And I started getting visual images of like that happening to her. Dude, about myself. It was bad. No, it's
Yeah.
like, nope, not going to think about that ever again.
Yeah.
I can't. I can't. It wasn't until December of last year that the Western Australian government offered a $500,000 reward for information about the men who have been missing for the last few years. That was 2 years after Wesley went missing.
Wow.
If you have any information about any of these missing people, you can find the contact information for the various law enforcement agencies in the source notes.
Nice.
So, Bill, thoughts?
I mean, I hate that happens. It's horrible.
It's one of those things where, like, I don't know, it pisses me off so bad that indigenous people across the globe cannot catch a fucking break.
Yeah.
Give these people a fucking break, okay?
Yeah.
They survived for thousands of years on these lands without any interaction or interference from anybody else. And then when people finally came over to their land, they start killing them, they start diseasing them, they start raping them, they start stealing all their shit. And then and then people want to wonder why they get addicted to drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Gee, I fucking wonder, where's the therapy services for our enslaved people? Where's the therapy services for the people, indigenous people who have went through genocide?
Yeah.
They ain't fucking there.
No.
So yeah, we're gonna have these ways of dealing with our trauma until we get our trauma healed
Sure.
and until the debt has been paid.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for joining us for another week, for another look at a missing persons case, or in this instant, multiple cases.
Right.
I feel for that family so much, the Lockyer family.
Yeah.
Like, to have so many people go missing in your family. And sadly, this is something that affects indigenous families in this country.
Yeah.
From people whose ancestors were murdered to their ancestors who were taken to residential schools or put on reservations and then taken to residential schools. It's never ending. And I'm mad about it. At some point in the future, I will have to do a more in depth episode on the history of Australia, I think, too. It's kind of fascinating.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you guys have a good week, and we will see you guys next week.
Be kind to each other.
Love you. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye.